Well, mathematically, no.
No, it'd better not. It'd better not be, otherwise. Because otherwise you could always go one better. It's their idea that you can never get out. It's right. I mean, Jay's idea, as I understand it, is really more an expression of the fact that you can never get outside the universe of sets in some sense, although, of course, the universe is not itself a set.
But you can apply that embedding when proving or disproving things in terms of that set theory, I guess. Isn't that?
Well, yes,
isn't that
with
the?
You can show certain things, like within within all of those axioms, with the wholeness axiom, the normal sort of you can show that the existence, for instance, of all large cardinal.
Yeah, that's precisely why it was introduced. It was to provide a kind of cut-off point so that you could, instead of the various reflection principles which were used in proving large cardinal theorems, this is supposed to be some kind of ultimate maximal reflection principle which will say that all large cardinals, in some sense of all, that somehow this is supposed to pin down. Well, yes, it is more precise, and I don't know enough set theory to understand exactly in what sense it does operate as to make the notion of all large cardinals more precise, but that's as I understand the motive which was involved in its introduction by the set theorists. But it very definitely came out of the way that set theorists try to think about the whole universe in terms of reflection principles in order to guide them when they're thinking about large cardinals. And that way of thinking is so tied to the Platonist vision of the whole totality existing as, in some sense, a totality of determinate objects. And as I say, that to me seems to be completely opposed ontologically to the underlying idea of the implicate order, which is why it just seems to me to involve a strange tension that you should be trying to get a mathematical model, guiding idea for thinking about the implicate order out of something which comes from something that is in the first place, it seems to me, so opposed to its spirit. But I'm not saying it's wrong, just that there does seem to be a conceptual tension involved.
But isn't in a way set theory the most fundamental thing we have? Well, you have category theory.
Many people have thought so, and some think different.
But
in some meetings they would say that numbers are the most
fundamental.
But it's
you place your money in your taste, which takes your choice according to taste.
See, that's why I chose it.
Yeah, sure. Because you believe that it is, as many people have done, that it's simply the most fundamental notion we have in mathematics. I personally don't believe it is. But I mean, the whole point, surely, of David Boehm's approach was that he thought that the notion of order was fundamental.
Exactly.
So he would surely have wanted, I know he didn't make specific pronouncements much about foundational questions in mathematics, but surely his intuition would have been to try to find some way of re-expressing the notion of set in terms of some more fundamental underlying notion of order, rather than the other way around, trying to capture the notion of order within a framework that takes the notion of set as already basic. Just seems a very un-Bohmian thing to be doing. Sorry.
Well, I just see it in a different way.
Yeah,
I see so many things in it that remind me of the implicate order. Like self-similarities, for instance. This is what you get pretty automatically from, say, the infinite. And I don't know, there are just so many things that... Because I'm not... the set theory is not important. I mean, it's not what I'm really interested in here.
No,
I mean,
sure.
it's the order that I get from this J, from this elementary embedding. It's the order that it gives me. Yeah. But then you could say that every other theory, even though you'd be using whatever you may be using, you might say, but really, all of those things exist in set theory. And
yes, so that's where we part company, but that's separate. That's an issue in foundations of mathematics.
Yes, it is.
Directly relevant to what you're doing here. No.
Right.
Something that an idea of
that
movement of the whole mathematical universe not being made possible, being made explicit, certainly.
Yes,
That-
yes.
That kind of that feels right for the whole movement.
Yes, that's
I don't
to me too.
Must be the identity in everything you can.
Thank you.
Thanks.